beauty of a classic arcade game lies in its simplicity. A button, a joystick, not a lot of plot, but plenty of action enough to keep people pumping quarters into the machine. If a game is really good, people will keep playing it and they'll make a lot of money, and a lot of those games will get ported to home consoles, and that's where things get kind of interesting. Alien Syndrome was a Sega arcade title first appearing in 1987 and finding its way to home consoles over the years that followed. The Master System, the Atari ST, the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, you name it, it probably got a port. And that even includes the Nintendo Entertainment System. None of these ports are exactly arcade perfect, and all of them are surprisingly different from each other. Anyway, Alien Syndrome in all of its forms has you taking on hordes of alien creatures which differ per level, some of which are definitely not inspired by the xenomorphs from Aliens. Nope, not at all. In fact, a lot of the elements of this game are nothing at all like the 1986 science fiction horror film. All you really need to know about the story is that you've set up bombs on each of these space stations, and you have to rescue your comrades, fight bosses, escape, and move on to the next space station. It's a very, very simple premise indeed. Each of these space stations is infested, like a disease. Or a syndrome if you prefer. The Master System take on the game changes a few things. For starters, the space station layouts aren't as open and they are more maze-like. I'm not really sure why they chose this route, but it's not a bad idea. The game looks great and doesn't have too much sprite flickering, which is a huge plus on any 8-bit console. Due to the limitations of the hardware, you fight the bosses on plain black background, which is fairly common for games of this era. The enemies are all very colorful and weird, and they really stand out, making it pretty easy to tell just what's going on. As with many home ports of arcade games, things were removed. There were a number of different weapon power-ups that are missing from this version, and also the map is missing, which is kind of crazy since the map would really have helped make the different space stations so much easier to navigate. But the biggest omission to me is the lack of 2-player simultaneous mode. The original arcade and most of the ports out there have 2-player simultaneous cooperative play, and alternating turns is never as fun. At the risk of sounding like I'm running the game down, there are also a few issues that I have with the gameplay and the interface. More annoyances than anything else. You have to enter a pause screen in order to see your score and your remaining lives and how many captive comrades you have left to rescue. It's a minor inconvenience, as other ports I've seen try to put everything on screen, which does shrink the area of gameplay down, but you get to see all those important game details. Here's a little gameplay of the NES version from Tengen for comparison. Lastly, the hit detection of the enemies can be a bit unpredictable. Sometimes I feel if shots that should have landed went clear through them, and since you only have so much time to navigate through, you're probably better off trying to avoid most of these enemies anyway. As you can imagine, you get less and less time as the levels get harder, and if you don't find the required number of comrades to get to the exit in time, let's just say there's a reason the game tells you the time bomb is set in the beginning of each stage. Even with the shortcomings of this game, I still kind of like it. It just seems to me that a lot of Master System games just aren't quite as refined or polished as games on the NES. I don't know if that's just my own limited experience with the console or what. However, this game is a very cheap pickup. I found a complete copy for about $12, and you can't really go wrong there. There's a pretty good reason why I played through this game 3 times in the past week, and it's not because the game sucks, that's for sure. So, give it a shot, why not? But if you're looking for a recommendation, I think I might suggest some of the other ports before I would pick this one. Hope you've enjoyed this review, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.